Hello everyone, Marco Montemagno here, the Tech Alchemist, and today I'm so happy in this new place, super sunny in UK for this Tech Alchemist episode. And here with me a guest that I really like, because in the last period I've been talking a lot with people, and every 2 seconds someone say, hey, you're using Banjo, and in the beginning I was thinking about, some playing or something, and then I understood, no, Banjo is the new hot app for mobile. So I started to figure out, and I was so lucky to meet Seth here with us at the last web. So Chris, thanks for being here with us today.
Great to be with you, Marco. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, so I basically would love to understand more, on one side obviously about Banjo, but on the other side to steal your experience and share your experience with the Tech Alchemist audience to understand better what's happening in the mobile world, the international market and so on. So several topics. First of all, in 20 seconds, I'm the worst interviewer in saying the perfect title of the guest, like the vice executive president, and there are titles that are so long, but you are executive vice president, I think, for Banjo.
I am executive vice president for Banjo. What that really means is that I do everything that's not code and product.
All right.
So excellent. I look after the business activities.
In Banjo you love simplicity, because also the title was short. I got a guest, I don't remember, for IBM or Oracle. It took me 3 minutes to say all the title long, so great. And your experience, I mean, okay, now you work in Banjo, but I remember a few years ago, probably it was at a web conference or something like that, you were there with a great company, everyone talking about Stardoll or something like that?
Yeah, that's right. So recently I joined Banjo 6 months ago from Stardoll. Stardoll, which is a social media platform, predominantly web-based, although it's moving very quickly to mobile, happens to be the biggest digital platform for teen and tween girls in the world. They have about 200 million registered users around the world, but before that I spent the best part of 15 years working in media and technology companies. I'm old enough to have worked in magazines and newspapers, but only just
with paper and you can read
real print products that you can turn pages and read in the bath and that kind of stuff. So and then I was part of a early stage digital advertising agency called Traffic Interactive, which is part of the BDO group, and then I got into startups.
So long experience. And how was the migration? Maybe before the beginning, I was curious about how was the shift between web in the PC era to mobile, where Banjo is only on mobile basically, so the users
Banjo is,
how was the shift for you?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's completely mobile-centric, mobile-native, if you like, and there are some big differences. Not least how you discover mobile applications, discover mobile platforms is quite different from how we do that on the web. So therefore, the way that we market these platforms is different. Mobile discovery is quite different from web discovery, but of course there are lots of similarities, and certainly, as I said, the transition that Stardoll was going through, and that pretty much every other web platform is going through now, going from web to mobile, helped make my transition a little smoother and more seamless than it would otherwise be. So I'd already been focused on mobile platforms and mobile marketing, mobile monetization at Stardoll. So, but it's interesting. It's certainly, every indication, every metric that we see suggests that shift from web to mobile is accelerating and will continue to do so this year.
And it's just a question, iPhone or Android gonna get the market? Because I always keep on this discussion, I think in Italy, most of the time people say, oh, iPhone is the most important, everything is on iPhone, and I think, gosh, but Android is getting all the market. What's your perception about it?
Yeah, well, obviously, Banjo is an application which is available on both, on Android and on Apple. So we're interestingly almost 50-50 between the two, and Android is now slightly ahead, but certainly we develop in a very synchronous way for both of those platforms. So when we launch a new version of the product, we launch it at the same time on iTunes and on Google Play, and we see differences from market to market. Banjo is a global product, a global platform, and there are markets where Android is ahead, markets in Asia, for example, where Android is ahead, but again, there are markets in like the US and Western Europe where iPhone is ahead. So it's I think it's too early to call where.
Okay. And when go straight to Banjo to understand exactly what is it and what's the difference with other mobile app. The only thinking was the first time that someone started to talk to me about Banjo, I immediately thought, oh gosh, another geolocation app, and I was thinking, well, I have no time for another geolocation app, Foursquare and so on. Then I started to use it, and I thought, gosh, this is super cool because it's not another geolocation app, but it's got the ability to collect all the data coming from all the social networks and telling me exactly what's going on around me. So it was something totally different in my mind. Is it right? Is this the direction Banjo is getting?
Yeah, absolutely. From day one, we set out to solve the zero user problem, as we call it, which effectively is asking everybody to create an entire new social network from scratch. We didn't want to present our target audience, our user base, with that challenge, so we provided a platform where we were already indexing and presenting and personalizing data from the major social networks, from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Foursquare and LinkedIn, and uniting, if you like, that social graph and presenting it, as I say, in real time and in a location specific fashion, so that people could get value from the platform from day one. They didn't need to add a whole new set of friends in order to get value from the platform. Even if they didn't know a single person who was on Banjo, they got value from it because they could see the content, the geolocation content on Banjo that their friends have posted via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Foursquare, etc. So that was really important to us, and as you say, that's been a big
I really like
part
this approach. Yeah, I think it's a very smart approach, and it's a killing tip for everyone running or willing to running an online business, because in the end, the zero users problem is a huge problem. Maybe you start with a great project, but then you have no users. So when you go out maybe to an investor and say, hey, I'm running this project, but then you have no users. So if you can collect all the data, obviously it's good. But to do this, I guess you need a great architecture, infrastructure, technical, background, because otherwise it's very difficult to proceed all this big data and so on. Is it right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% right. We're an engineering focused company. We think of ourselves, and we believe we're very much a technology company rather than an app company, although the manifestation of Banjo today is an application on Android and on Apple, but certainly we are a technology company, and we have in our office in Palo Alto over 25 people, of whom over 20 are engineers. In fact, there are only 2 people working on the business side of our company, of which I am one, and the team is, in my opinion, second to none in terms of what they've been able to do in the space of a year and a half, building a platform which is right now up to, we're indexing 430 odd million individuals across the social graph, and growing incredibly quickly, and what we've built and how we've enabled each individual to receive a personalized, geo-specific, real-time view on what's going on both around them in their immediate vicinity, but also on the other side of the world, is is pretty impressive from a technology point of view. But of
What
course,
do
we're
you
more than a
think, Chris?
technology company.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. What do you think is the most interesting thing that a user can do with Banjo? Why you would say, okay, this feature, this activity, you can do it with Banjo. You can do it with a native Facebook app or native Foursquare app or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. I think the most useful part of the platform is quite simply that we allow people to see what's going on across the world, whether that's around the corner from them in London, where I am right now, or on the other side of the world in Palo Alto, California, or Tokyo, Japan, through the lens of their friends and their connections, through the social lens of their friend groups. And that is super useful for a number of reasons. Of course, there is the opportunity to connect with people on a daily basis. If they're nearby, then you might not have known that they were nearby without Banjo telling you, without Banjo notifying you that there's a friend on whichever network it might be who's nearby to you. But just as importantly, it's the opportunity to see what's going on somewhere else in the world. And that might be somewhere that you're about to go to. If I'm jumping on a plane to New York, I want to know who's in New York, which of my friends are there, what interesting things are happening there, what's about to happen there. But also just in terms of staying in touch with political news and events, we see that news organizations such as CNN and Fox and others are using Banjo to search, because Banjo is not just a social discovery tool, it's also a search tool. We have a search, we're the only platform where you can actually search by location and find real-time geo-insured information wherever you want to go in the world. So news organizations are using Banjo to find out what's going on, for example, at the end of last year in Cairo, in Tahrir Square, or in Gaza, or even business news. When the iPhone 5 launched, Fox used Banjo to go to different store locations around the world to see what the reaction from individuals was as to the launch of that new product. And all of that is impossible to do without Banjo. So it's a very unique.
Yeah. Could we say, Chris, that if I think about businesses around the world, and I think how businesses are trying now to use the Twitter feed to intercept some requests or from consumers. So I give you an example. If I'm in a travel industry and I have a hotel and I try to search for Twitter and tweet about where's a hotel in Brighton in UK, and then if I'm running a hotel in Brighton, I can immediately answer and say, hey, here is my hotel and this is maybe a discount. But with Banjo, probably this thing will explode, because I can go in New York and I can say, okay, in New York I want to search what people are looking for, or the topic, not only for one social network but for all the social networks, and then I can start a conversation with them and try to sell my products or services, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you've hit on a really important point, which is that we're unifying, we're fusing those social networks to create a much larger opportunity for brands, and an opportunity which is by its very nature geo-specific. So of course Twitter's a fantastic tool, and we'll use it on a regular basis, but it's not all geo-located. A proportion of the Twitter feed that you see is. With everything that you see on Banjo is geo-specific. So if you're looking for a hotel, as you say, in Brighton, and that hotel is interested in engaging and creating a community around its brand, then by definition Banjo is the best place to find people in a specific place and engage with them on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, let's talk for a second about growth. So for a business, growing obviously is very, very important to scale. In the tech world, everyone talk about scaling, but the big question is, how can you really grow in such a crowded environment, which is today the online business or mobile business? So from your experience, the growth hacking. This is also another buzzword that is going very strong in this period. What are the main tips that you could share with us about growth hacking? How can you speed up your growth? What would you do? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I think the first thing, which we talked about already, Marco, is solving one way or the other the zero user problem, and really creating momentum around your platform. The way that we did that was to immediately present the visitor, the prospective user, with a solution which would give them value from day one through having that broad social graph, that broad availability of friends and connections. But beyond that, I think one of the other things that we've done, which is possibly atypical for Silicon Valley startups in their very early stages, was to internationalize, to localize the platform. We're now in 12 different languages, and from day one we were already translating into a variety of different languages, and that has certainly helped growth across the world. Banjo was a global product from day one. We have significant traction in obviously in the US, our home market, but also in Western Europe and some fast-growing emerging markets in Latin America and Asia as well. So that's certainly one way to hack growth, if you like. And then thirdly, I think listening to the community, iterating as fast as possible, which again, thanks to the engineering team that we have at Banjo, we're able to do fantastically well and fantastically fast. But listening to the community, responding to how they're using the product and responding to what they're telling us. We've done a huge amount of research, over 1,000 different focus groups and interviews in the year and a half that we've been operating, and certainly that's helped to develop a product which they love, and certainly that's helped the ratings that we receive, and therefore the features that we've been fortunate enough to have through both Google Play and iTunes. We were featured twice on both of those platforms as their app of the week in 2012, and just recently both Google and Apple included us in their apps of 2012. So I don't think they would have done that if we hadn't received the kind of ratings that we have from the community. We're a 5-star rated app on iTunes and about 4.5 on Google. So.
Chris, you've been speaking about a very important topic, which is internationalization and translations. Most of the time, this is really, I don't know how you say in English, a pain in the ass, because it's really horrible and very expensive and tough to do. Is any smart way to do it? I mean, I saw recently Ban.jo, which is a platform for translation, or I don't know, Bubbleverse that translate for events. But so, which is the right way to go if you want to translate your platform in, I don't know, 20 languages that you're doing?
Yeah, so we have, again, we're fortunate enough to have a pretty international team, not an international team of translators, an international team of engineers and product guys, which helps us to have a point of view and, if you like, have an openness to translating and localizing early. But certainly, I don't think there's a particular secret. I think we have been comfortable with putting the first translation out to the community and having the community tell us if there are things that they think that we should modify or amend in the language that we're using. Obviously, for example, Portuguese in Brazil is very different from Portuguese in Portugal. Our community is far bigger in Brazil than it is in Portugal. By definition, again, it's a much bigger country, a bigger opportunity. But that's just one example where we're prepared to put out a first version, a correct first version of the app in Portuguese, and then listen to the feedback.
Any specific platform that you've been using for doing this translation task, or not?
No, just a local firm in Silicon Valley. So.
All right. Other topic. I stay on. You've been talking about being on top of App Store and Google Play, which is obviously very difficult. Any tips to be on top? Because there are a gazillion apps today. So how can you be on top if there's any I don't know specific activity that you saw in this period that really works very well? Obviously, having a great app and a great community. This is let's say the fundamentals, but any particular things that you think could work well to rank high?
Yeah, I think again, long term, I think having a very clear brand proposition helps certainly when it comes to search on both app stores, and having a very point of difference in terms of certainly your name can help as well. But I think there's no real there may be some dark arts to this, but as far as we're concerned, it's much more about just making sure that you respond to the to the community and give them more of what they're asking for. For example, when we launched personalized places, which today on Banjo you are presented with a range of cities across the world where your friends are and where your friends are posting at any one time, and that's become a really popular part of our platform. That we focused on that in the back end of last year, and that again has really given us some momentum in terms of usage, and that was all around the reason that we took the decision to move that forward in the roadmap was simply because the community told us to do that. So I think if we're doing, it's maybe a boring answer to your question, but if we're doing the right things and improving the product in the right ways, then we will be rated continuously highly. And if we get rated highly, that's when Apple and Google tend to take notice and tend to feature those apps that are getting consistently high ratings and that they like and that they feel are doing something different from the rest of the market, which for me that's another important fact that you mentioned at the start, the things that we do differently, and one of the most important things that we do differently in the location world is that we don't just index or try to help you find people next to you, people around you, the kilometre around you, wherever you are in Brighton. We're also focused very much on the there in location, because we think that the there in location, the rest of the world, which isn't a kilometre away from you, is a much harder technology challenge to solve, but there's a much greater reward for most people because the there is much more dynamic. There are many more changes going on in the there than there are in the here, and it therefore becomes a much more interesting part of our user experience. So.
Chris, what will happen next in mobile? Because this is not as a trend, but that you think, okay, in 2013 probably mobile, this will be the direction, because this is what you feel. Is what you just described as the more an easier way to discover what is all around, or something more there?
Yeah, I think increasing use of location services to help us discover and to help us make sense of the proliferation of data and just content, social and otherwise, across the web and across the mobile web. Using location to help us make more sense of that, to help us, if you like, make it more relevant, give it perspective, I think is going to be an increasing trend. I think people are going to start creating more geotagged content. They're already creating huge amounts of geotagged photo content, and of course people have been using maps forever, but I think people are going to start participating in a much more frequent fashion with location-based technology. A good example of that, which isn't Banjo, would be the app Waze, the traffic app Waze, where you can circumvent the jams and get to where you're going quicker by using that app, which is of course user-generated content at its core. So it wouldn't have the value that it has without people creating or posting location updates on a very frequent basis. So I think that's one trend that we see. I think that a lot of the innovation is going to continue to come from mobile internet companies, more so than perhaps than handset manufacturers or carriers. But I think that the meeting of minds there is going to be, it's going to be interesting. Arguably some of the kind of the smartphone is going to get smarter. Clearly, that's again, Banjo is part of that wave, part of that trend. In as much as we see a future for our product, and we're not talking years away, we're talking months away, where Banjo will help you to find the interesting things in your life, and to help you avoid missing out on things that you would really want to know about, by surfacing those things through knowing your social graph, knowing your interests, knowing what's valuable to you. And instead of you having to pull that information out of a search engine like Google, Banjo will actually, if you like, push that information to you in a much more seamless and serendipitous way. So that's a big future trend, which I think is going to start to have an impact in 2013.
All right, Chris, just a last question that I ask to every Tech Alchemist guests. I'm always curious about the top 3 apps that they have on their phone, or the best 3 tools that they use every day and they say, oh gosh, I just discovered this tool and I can't live without it, or this app or website or whatever it is that is digital. So I'm wondering, what are your top 3, if any, that you would recommend and you suggest?
Yeah, well, when I'm driving, I mentioned Waze. I think that's a fantastic tool. And when I'm not driving, which is most of the time, I cycle back and forth to the city, and I use Bikely, which is very useful, and a whole bunch of other apps for cycling and racing.
What's the name of the app for biking?
Bikely.
Bikely. Okay.
Yeah. So those are 2, and again, because I cycle a lot and I am obsessed to a certain degree with the weather, because I need to know whether it's going to rain or not on the way into work or back. I use the Met Office app, which is probably one you haven't heard of, the Met Office, which is the UK government's weather service. So Met Office, MET. Yeah.
All right, super cool. All right, Chris, thank you so much. Really good luck for Banjo. I will keep on checking, and I'm sure it will be an exciting 2013. Thank you so much, guys from Tech Alchemist community. Just go download the app and let me know your feedback. Thank you so much, Chris, and keep in touch for everything.
Thanks, Marco. It was great fun. Cheers. Bye.